Hey, Algebra 2 Trig, we're doing 7.1, Law of Sines. The essential question is, how do I find all the sides and angles of an oblique triangle? And before we start, let's talk about the word oblique. Go ahead and underline that. Oblique means a triangle without a 90-degree angle. So for the last month or so, we've been working with 90-degree triangles and using Pythagorean theorem and, cosine and sine. Well, what happens when we don't have a right angle? So this is not a right triangle, and we're going to use the law of sines to find it. Okay? So here is your notes. Go ahead and write that down. These are oblique triangles. Notice that there are no right angles. These right angles are formed by an H, but they're dotted, so they're not actually part of the triangle, and we won't have to worry too much about that. Okay, so I'm going to use the law of sines. So number one, what we have to understand about a triangle, going back to geometry, is the angle C is across from side C. And angle A is across from side A, and angle B is across from side B. Okay, so we're going to use the law of sines, and depending on what they give us. So I have, so if I look, I have angle B, I have side B, and I have angle C, but I don't have side C, and I don't have angle A, and I don't have side A. Okay, so if I look, my original equation is A over sine A equals B over sine of B, and by the way, we're all in degrees, and C over sine of C. Okay, so I'm just going to use the information I know to figure out whatever I can get. All right, so I know B and B, and I know C, so I can probably find side C. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to use these two instead. I'm going to use B and C, and I'm not going to use A. I'll use, okay? All right, so if I use this side, B over sine B, so it would be 27.4 over sine of B, which is 28.7 degrees. Again, we're in degrees, so make sure on your calculator you're in degrees. Equals C over sine C. I don't know what side C is. That is what I'm going to find. And then I know what sine, I know the angle, so it'd be sine of 102.3 degrees. Okay? All right, so I am going to cross multiply. So it would be 27.4 sine of 102.3 degrees equals C times the sine of 28.7 degrees. I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 28.7 degrees. Okay, and then that cancels out, so all I have is C equals. And then you're going to put that all in your calculator. So once I put that in the calculator, you should get, and go ahead and try it at home and make sure you get 55.75 feet. Okay, so now I know side C is 55.75 feet. Okay, and then if they ask you to find the rest of the sides, well, I know angle A plus angle C plus angle B equals 180. So I would take 180. Well, actually, I would add those two up. So let's try to find angle A as well. So to find angle A, I'm going to do 100. So angle A would equal 180 degrees because that's what it's a triangle. And then I'm going to subtract it from 102.3 degrees plus 28.7 degrees. Okay, so 102.3 degrees plus 28.7 degrees is 131 degrees. So 180 minus 131. So that equals 49 degrees. So angle A is 49 degrees. And again, since angle A is 49 degrees, I have a degree. I can find side A using the law of sine again. So here's what I would do to find angle A. I would use whichever one, I would probably use the given information. So I use B and B and A. So instead of C, because C I actually rounded the values. So in order to find side A, I'm going to do B over sine B, so it'll be 27.4 feet over sine of 28.7 degrees equals, and then A I don't know, and then to find, and then sine of 49 degrees. And again, I would just cross multiply, right? So it'd be A sine of 28.7 degrees equals 27.4 times sine of 49. Then I would divide both sides by sine of 28.7. So A would equal 27.4 sine of 49 degrees all over sine of 28.7 degrees. And then go ahead and put that in your calculator. Okay, I'm not going to go over it too much, and that's whatever you get A is. Okay, so let's put that in there. So sine of 49 times 27.4. So that the top would be 20.679. Okay, and then the sine of 28.7 is 0.4802. Okay, and then I'm going to divide the two. So it would be 20.679 divided by 0.4802. So A is roughly 43.06 feet. Okay, so side A would be 43.06 feet. Okay, if there's any questions, let's do one with, so now we're going to do one where we actually have to find an angle. All right, so if I, let's say I wanted to find angle B. So find angle B. Okay, so if I have a non-right triangle actually. So let's say 42 degrees, this is A, B, A is 22 inches, C and C, and then B equals 12 inches. Okay, so let's say I wanted to find angle B. So I would use law of sine, obviously. So it would be 22 over the sine of 42 degrees equals 12, which is B, over sine B. I don't know what sine B is, so I'm going to call it sine B. Okay, so I'm going to, again, cross multiply. So I'll have 22 sine B equals 12 sine of 42 degrees. Divide by 22, so it'll be sine of B equals 12 sine of 42 degrees over 22. Okay, so let's put that in our calculators just to figure out what that is. So sine of 42 is 0.669. Try that. I'm going to multiply that by 12, and then I'm going to divide that by 22. So sine of B equals 0. I'm going to use a little more for accuracy, so 36498. So from there, we've done enough where to get B, I'm going to actually arc sine both sides. So B is the arc sine of 0.36498. So I'm going to arc sine both sides. So the arc sine of that is 21.406 degrees. So therefore, angle B is 21.406 degrees. Okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and write it down, and we'll go over it tomorrow.